Every park has a story, and every story has a legacy. Welcome to Legacy Parks on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. This is our host, Richard Bienvenu, and we're live every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Together, we'll explore the history, impact, and lasting legacy of the parks that have shaped our communities for generations. We'll uncover the stories, people, and moments that make this park truly unforgettable. Legacy Parks, where every park tells a story. In this episode, we explore 7 remarkable legacy parks across America, uncovering the fascinating stories behind their history, transformation, and lasting impact on their communities.
Well, hello, everybody. How you doing? My name is Richard Bienvenu, and thank you for being here for the Legacy Parks show. So today we're going to cover 7 more parks, like we did last week, and we're going to do that for a while because it's very interesting to learn about all the different legacy parks around America. Some of these big, huge parks, and some of them are actually kind of small parks that had very interesting, ideas or interesting ways that they started and what they've done. And, so let's get started. And we can say, what is an abandoned railroad in New York, Chicago's front yard, and an industrial gas plant overlooking Seattle have in common? Well, they all became extraordinary places where history, imagination, and community came together to create some of America's most remarkable urban parks. Today, we're traveling across the country to visit 7 parks, each with its own remarkable story. And we're going to begin in New York City at the High Line. It's from abandoned railroad to urban icon. And once a forgotten elevated freight line slated for demolition, it's now one of the world's most influential examples of urban renewal. Next, we'll head to Grant Park in Chicago. Chicago's front yard, and for nearly 2 centuries, this great civic landscape has welcomed world fairs, celebrations, protests, concerts, and millions of visitors beneath one of America's most recognizable skylines. You notice in there, if you can see the art card, that famous bean, that you've probably seen many photos and videos of. And then next, we're going to go down to Hermann Park in Houston. And thanks to the generosity of George Hermann and the vision of generations of park leaders, it has become one of Texas's finest cultural and recreational treasures. Then next, we're going to go to Washington Park in Denver. It's Denver's urban oasis. It's created from open prairie and inspired by classic European parks. It remains one of Colorado's most beloved gathering places. Then in Austin, there's a Zilker Metropolitan Park that I have actually been to in one of my visits to Austin. It's pretty cool. You got these Barton Springs, and you got music festivals, and you got all kind of family traditions, and no park captures the spirit of the city like Zilker. And then next we're going to go over to Seattle. We're going to visit 2 parks. We're going to visit the Volunteer Park, and it's an Olmsted masterpiece in the Emerald City. Now, remember, Olmsted, if you've been visiting us before, if you've been to these shows before, Olmsted was a guy who, he and his sons actually created and designed Central Park in New York City, and also City Park here in New Orleans, and Audubon Park. So with its historic, iconic water tower and beautiful gardens, it stands as one of the finest examples of the Olmsted brothers' enduring legacy. And finally, we're going to conclude at the Gasworks Park, also in Seattle, where industry became inspiration. Now, I've actually visited this park too. It's actually pretty cool. And what was once a polluted gasification plant has been transformed into one of America's most creative and unforgettable public parks. So each one of these parks tells a different story. Some were born from bold visions, others rose from forgotten land or abandoned industry, but all of them prove that a great park can transform not only a landscape, but an entire city. So join me as we explore 7 remarkable parks. You can discover the stories behind them and celebrate the visionaries who created places that continue to inspire millions of people every year. And this is Legacy Parks of America. Now, You were going to play you're going to play the park. You're going to play all 7 parks, and I pre-recorded the narration because to actually speak for 30 minutes, which is what I tried when we first started the show. After a few minutes, I just get tongue-tied and make all these mistakes. So what's great about it is I pre-record it, I go back and I edit it and make sure it's nice and clean and it sounds really good. Anyway, let us begin with the Legacy Parks of America. We'll do these 7 parks that we just talked about. And away we go. What do you do with an abandoned railroad running through the middle of one of the busiest cities in the world? Well, most people would have said, tear it down. But New York City had a different idea. Today, the High Line is one of the world's most celebrated urban parks, stretching above the streets of Manhattan like a floating garden. Yet, just a few decades ago, this remarkable place was overgrown, forgotten, and facing demolition. The story begins in the 1930s when the elevated rail line was built to carry freight trains above dangerous street traffic on Manhattan's West Side. For decades, trains delivered everything from meat and milk to manufactured goods directly into nearby warehouses. But as trucking became more popular, rail traffic declined. And by the 1980s, the trains had stopped running, leaving the structure abandoned and slowly being reclaimed by nature. Many people believe the old railway should simply be demolished. Then 2 neighborhood residents imagined something entirely different. Why not preserve it and create an elevated park unlike anything America had ever seen? It wasn't an easy sell. Funding had to be found, designs had to be approved, and plenty of skeptics questioned whether anyone would actually visit a park built on an old railroad. When the first section opened in 2009, visitors immediately discovered something special. Look closely as you walk along the path and you'll notice the original train tracks still woven into the landscape. Native grasses, colorful flowers, and carefully designed gardens grow right alongside the steel rails. Can you imagine freight trains rumbling through this very spot where people now pause to admire butterflies and blooming wildflowers? One of the High Line's most popular features is the 10th Avenue Square, where broad wooden steps overlook busy city traffic below. It's almost like sitting in an outdoor theater, watching New York perform. Just a little further along, the pathway passes through the old Chelsea Market loading area, reminding visitors that this beautiful park never forgot its industrial roots. Art has become just as important as the gardens. Throughout the year, changing sculptures, murals, and installations appear along the park, ensuring that every visit feels a little different. Musicians perform, artists exhibit their work, and neighbors gather for special events. Have you noticed something about great urban parks? They don't just preserve history, they keep creating new memories every single day. If you visit the High Line today, you'll find quiet places to sit, read, or simply watch the city pass by. Comfortable lounge chairs, shaded overlooks, and beautiful views of the Hudson River invite visitors to slow down for a while. And that is part of the magic here. Even one of the busiest cities on earth, the High Line somehow creates moments of peace above the noise. The park transformed much more than an abandoned railroad. Neighborhoods surrounding the High Line experienced an incredible revival, with new homes, businesses, restaurants, and cultural attractions opening nearby. Cities around the world have studied this project, asking themselves an important question. Could forgotten infrastructure become beautiful public spaces instead of ending up in a landfill? Keeping the High Line beautiful is a year-round job, and thousands of plants require constant care. Pathways need maintenance, and thousands of visitors pass through every year. Dedicated horticulturalists carefully preserve the natural look of the gardens while protecting the historic railroad beneath them. It's a delicate balance between honoring the past and caring for a living park that continues to evolve. Today, the High Line stands as one of the great success stories in urban renewal. What was once an abandoned railway scheduled for demolition has become an international symbol of creativity, preservation, and community. It's proof that sometimes the best way to build the future isn't by starting over, it's by seeing new possibilities in something the world had almost forgotten. What if one park could tell the story of an entire city? In the heart of downtown Chicago, Grant Park has done exactly that for more than a century. Known as Chicago's front yard, this magnificent green space stretches from the city's famous skyline to the shores of Lake Michigan. Today, it's a place where thousands gather to celebrate, relax, and enjoy one of America's greatest urban parks. Believe it or not, this beautiful landscape wasn't always a park. During the mid-1800s, much of the area was little more than a muddy shoreline, railroad yards, and landfill extending into Lake Michigan. As Chicago grew into one of America's great cities, civic leaders began asking an important question. Should this priceless lakefront belong to railroads, or should it belong to the people? The answer shaped Chicago forever. Visionaries, including landscape architect Edward H. Bennett and businessman Aaron Montgomery Ward, fought to preserve the lakefront as open public space. Ward even went to court several times to stop private buildings from being constructed there. His determination helped establish a guiding principle that still defines Chicago today. The lakefront should remain forever open, clear, and free. At the heart of the park stands one of the world's largest fountains. Buckingham Fountain, dedicated in 1927, sends towering jets of water high into the air while synchronized displays delight visitors throughout the day. If you've ever seen Chicago featured in a movie or television show, chances are you've seen this fountain. It's become one of the city's most recognizable landmarks. As you explore Grant Park, you'll discover that it's surrounded by some of Chicago's greatest attractions. You have the Art Institute of Chicago, it sits along its western edge. Then you have Millennium Park blending seamlessly into the northern end, and it's easy to spend an entire day here without seeing everything. That's one of the things that makes Grant Park so special. Every path seems to lead to another discovery. The park truly comes alive during major events. Every summer, hundreds of thousands of music fans arrive for a Lollapalooza, transforming the grounds into one of the country's biggest outdoor festivals. Grant Park has also hosted presidential celebrations, championship rallies, cultural festivals, and countless public gatherings. Have you noticed how great parks often become the stage where cities' biggest moments unfold? On quieter days, Grant Park offers a completely different experience. Families picnic beneath mature trees, joggers wind through shaded pathways, and office workers escape downtown for a peaceful lunch overlooking the gardens. Look around and you'll see people from every walk of life sharing the same beautiful public space. That's exactly what the park's founders hoped it would become. Grant Park has helped shape Chicago's identity for generations. The protected lakefront has encouraged thoughtful development while preserving spectacular views that make the city instantly recognizable around the world. Few American cities have embraced their waterfront as successfully as Chicago, and much of that success begins right here in Grant Park. Maintaining a park of this size is no small task. Historic monuments, gardens, fountains, sculptures, and miles of walkways require constant attention throughout the year. Harsh winters, thousands of visitors, and large public events also take their toll, but dedicated crews work year-round to keep Grant Park looking its very best for future generations. Today, Grant Park remains much more than a beautiful green space. It's Chicago's front yard, its gathering place, and one of the city's greatest civic treasures. From quiet afternoon strolls to unforgettable celebration, the park continues to bring people together while reminding us that protecting public spaces, as Montgomery Ward sought to do, can shape a city's future for generations to come. What do you get when you combine beautiful gardens, a world-class zoo, a historic outdoor theater, and one of America's largest cities? You get Hermann Park. Nestled in the heart of Houston, this 445-acre urban oasis has welcomed visitors for more than a century. Today, it's one of Texas's most beloved parks, but its story began with a generous gift and an ambitious vision for the future. At the beginning of the 20th century, this land looked very different. Much of it was open prairie on the edge of a rapidly growing Houston. In 1914, businessman and philanthropist George Hermann donated the property to the city, hoping it would become a place where everyone could enjoy nature. It was the beginning of a park that would grow alongside Houston itself. Renowned landscape architect George Kessler was chosen to design the park, creating broad promenades, tree-lined walkways, and a magnificent reflection pool that quickly became its centerpiece. His goal was simple: create a beautiful, peaceful retreat where city residents could escape busy streets without ever leaving town. And more than 100 years later, his vision is still easy to see. The reflection pool remains one of Hermann Park's most recognizable landmarks. Long rows of trees frame the water while fountains dance in the sunlight, creating one of Houston's most photographed scenes. If you visit on a quiet morning, you'll often find people walking, exercising, or simply sitting on a bench enjoying the calm. It's hard to believe downtown Houston is only minutes away. Just beyond the reflection pool, you'll discover another favorite destination: the beautiful McGovern Centennial Gardens and the tranquil Japanese Garden. Colorful flowers bloom throughout the season, winding paths invite leisurely strolls, and carefully designed landscapes offer peaceful corners around every turn. Families have been making memories here for generations. The Houston Zoo, one of the nation's most visited, sits within the park, while Hermann Park Railroad delights children and adults alike with a leisurely ride through the grounds. The greatest urban parks seem to offer something for every age. One of Hermann Park's greatest treasures is the Miller Outdoor Theater. Since 1923, audiences have gathered on the hillside for concerts, Shakespeare productions, dance performances, and cultural celebrations, all free to the public. Spread out a blanket on the lawn, and you'll experience one of Houston's most cherished traditions under the Texas sky. As Houston expanded into one of America's largest cities, Hermann Park became even more important. Surrounded by museums, Rice University, and the Texas Medical Center, it provides a welcome balance of green space amid a bustling urban landscape. It's more than just a park. It's one of the reasons this part of Houston feels so connected and inviting. Preserving Hermann Park requires constant care. Historic gardens, mature oak trees, fountains, walking paths, and public spaces all need year-round maintenance. Ongoing restoration projects continue to improve the park while respecting its historic character, ensuring that future generations will enjoy the same beauty that visitors have appreciated for more than a century. Today, Hermann Park remains one of Houston's greatest treasures, a place where history, recreation, culture, and nature come together in remarkable harmony. Whether you're riding the train with grandchildren, enjoying an evening concert, or watching the sunset reflect across the water, Hermann Park reminds us that every great city deserves a place where people can simply breathe, gather, and enjoy life together. What if one of the best places to experience Denver isn't in the mountains at all? Just minutes from downtown, Washington Park has become one of the city's most beloved gathering places. With sparkling lakes, colorful flower gardens, and miles of walking trails, locals simply call it Wash Park. But long before it became a favorite destination for runners, cyclists, and families, this land had a very different story. In the late 1800s, this area was little more than open land on the outskirts of Denver. Some of the land had even served as a cemetery before the city transformed it into public parkland. As Denver continued to grow, civic leaders envisioned a place where residents could escape the busy streets and enjoy fresh air, wide open spaces, and beautiful scenery without leaving the city. Inspired by the City Beautiful movement, landscape architects designed Washington Park with graceful lakes, winding roads, formal gardens, and broad open lawns. Construction continued into the early 20th century, gradually shaping one of Denver's finest public spaces. Their goal was simple but ambitious: to create a park that encouraged both recreation and relaxation while celebrating the beauty of Colorado's natural landscape. Today, Smith Lake is one of the park's most recognizable features. Paddle boats glide across the water while walkers and joggers circle the shoreline throughout the day. If you stop for just a moment, you'll notice something remarkable. Despite being surrounded by one of America's fastest growing cities, the park feels surprisingly peaceful. Sometimes all it takes is a little water and a few trees to slow life down. Another highlight is the park's beautiful formal flower gardens, bursting with color from spring through fall. Nearby, the historic boathouse and shaded pathways invite visitors to linger a little longer. Look around. You'll see photographers capturing weddings, families enjoying picnics, and gardeners admiring carefully maintained landscapes. It's easy to understand why so many Denver residents consider this their favorite neighborhood escape. Washington Park is also one of Denver's premier recreation destinations. Its wide trails attract runners, cyclists, rollerbladers, and walkers from sunrise until sunset. On weekends, the lawns fill with volleyball games, yoga classes, and friendly gatherings. The park changes beautifully with the seasons. Spring brings colorful blossoms, summer fills the lawns with activity, autumn paints the trees in brilliant shades of gold, and winter transforms the landscape into a peaceful retreat. No matter the time of year, there's always something different waiting to be discovered. That's one of the reasons people keep coming back again and again. As Denver expanded over the decades, Washington Park has remained one of its defining green spaces. Protected from overdevelopment, it continues to offer breathtaking views of the downtown skyline with the Rocky Mountains rising in the distance. It's a reminder that great cities aren't measured only by their buildings, but also by the public places they choose to preserve. Keeping Washington Park looking its best takes year-round dedication. Trees require careful pruning. Gardens must be replanted with each season. Lakes need ongoing maintenance, and heavily used trails require constant attention. Thanks to the work of city staff and volunteers, the park continues to thrive while preserving the character that generations of Denver residents have come to cherish. Today, Washington Park remains one of Denver's greatest treasures, a place where nature, recreation, and community come together in perfect balance. Whether you're enjoying a quiet walk beside the lake, watching children play, or taking in a Colorado sunset, it's easy to understand why this remarkable park has become part of the heart and soul of the mile-high city. What do you get when you combine a spring-fed swimming hole, wide-open green spaces, music festivals, and one of America's fastest-growing cities? You get Zilker Metropolitan Park. Sitting along the banks of Lady Bird Lake, this 350-acre park has become Austin's backyard, a place where locals gather to cool off, celebrate, and enjoy the outdoors. But its story began with one man's remarkable gift to the city. In the early 1900s, businessman and philanthropist Andrew Jackson Zilker owned much of this land, including the famous Barton Springs. Rather than see the area developed for private use, he gradually sold the property to the city of Austin at a price well below its value. His dream was simple: create a public park that everyone could enjoy regardless of their background or income. As Austin grew, so did the park. Walking trails, picnic areas, gardens, and recreational facilities were added while preserving the area's natural beauty. Barton Springs remains the centerpiece, fed by underground springs that keep the water a refreshing 68 to 70 degrees year-round. Taking a dip in these springs, well, can you imagine a better way to escape a hot Texas summer? For many visitors, Barton Springs Pool is the highlight of any trip to Zilker Park. Stretching more than 3 acres, it's one of the largest natural spring-fed swimming pools in the country. Families, lap swimmers, and sunbathers gather here every day, enjoying water so clear that you can often see straight to the limestone bottom. It's been an Austin tradition for generations. Just beyond the pool, you'll discover another side of the park. The Zilker Botanical Garden offers peaceful paths through themed gardens filled with native plants, roses, and Japanese-inspired landscapes. Nearby, the Umlauf Sculpture Garden blends art with nature in a setting that's both beautiful and relaxing. It's easy to forget that you are only minutes from downtown Austin. Zilker Park truly comes alive during its famous events. Every fall, the Austin City Limits Music Festival draws music lovers from around the world, while the annual ABC Kite Fest fills the skies with colorful creations of every shape and size. Even when no festivals are taking place, the park is full of activity. Families spread blankets beneath towering pecan trees, children ride the Zilker Eagle miniature train, and kayakers paddle along nearby Ladybird Lake. Whether you're looking for adventure or simply a quiet afternoon outdoors, there's always something happening here. As Austin transformed into one of America's most vibrant and busiest cities, Zilker Park became even more important. Surrounded by growing skyline, it provides precious green space where nature still takes center stage. The park reflects Austin's personality perfectly: creative, welcoming, active, and just a little different from anywhere else. Protecting Zilker Park means more than mowing grass and planting flowers. The springs are home to the endangered Barton Springs salamander, making environmental stewardship a top priority. Park staff and conservationists work together to protect water quality, maintain trails, and preserve the natural beauty that makes this place so special. Today, Zilker Metropolitan Park stands as one of Austin's greatest treasures, a place where music, nature, recreation, and community come together every single day. Whether you're cooling off in Barton Springs, listening to live music beneath the stars, or watching the sun set behind the Austin skyline, you'll quickly understand why this remarkable park has captured the heart of Texas's capital city. What if one of Seattle's greatest treasures wasn't on the waterfront, but quietly tucked away on one of the city's highest hills? Volunteer Park may not receive the same attention as the Space Needle or Pike Place Market, but for more than a century, it's been one of Seattle's most beautiful and beloved public spaces. With towering trees, elegant gardens, and spectacular city views, it's a place that rewards anyone willing to slow down and explore. The story of Volunteer Park began in the late 1800s when Seattle set aside this hilltop property as public land. Originally known as City Park, it was later named Volunteer Park in honor of local volunteers who served during the Spanish-American War. As Seattle expanded, civic leaders envisioned something more than a simple neighborhood park. They wanted a landscape that would become one of the city's crown jewels. That vision took shape in the early 20th century when the famous Olmsted brothers, sons of Central Park designer Frederick Law Olmsted, redesigned the park. They created graceful pathways, broad lawns, formal gardens, and carefully planned vistas that blended beautifully with the natural landscape. Their work transformed Volunteer Park into one of the finest examples of classic park design in the Pacific Northwest. One of the park's greatest attractions is the Volunteer Park Conservatory. Built in 1912, this elegant Victorian-style glasshouse is filled with tropical plants, orchids, ferns, palms, and seasonal flower displays. Step inside and it feels like you've traveled thousands of miles from Seattle's cool climate. It's amazing how one building can transport you to an entirely different world. If you're willing to climb a few stairs, the historic Water Tower rewards you with one of Seattle's best panoramic views. From the observation deck, you'll see downtown skyscrapers, Lake Washington, the Olympic Mountains, and on a clear day, even Mount Rainier. Look around for a moment. Can you imagine how dramatically Seattle has grown since this tower was built more than a century ago? Another highlight is the Seattle Asian Art Museum, housed in a beautiful Art Deco building at the heart of the park. Inside, visitors discovered centuries of artistic treasures from across Asia, while outside, sculptures and gardens create a peaceful setting for reflection. Have you noticed how the best urban parks often combine nature, history, and culture all in one remarkable place? Even without its famous landmarks, Volunteer Park is simply a wonderful place to spend an afternoon. Children play beneath towering trees, neighbors walk their dogs along winding paths, and families spread picnic blankets across open lawns. Every season brings something new, from colorful spring blossoms to brilliant autumn leaves that blanket the park in shades of gold and crimson. As Seattle became one of America's fastest-growing cities, Volunteer Park remained a peaceful refuge from a surrounding urban landscape. Protected from overdevelopment, it continues to provide valuable green space while preserving the elegant design created by Olmsted Brothers more than 100 years ago. It's proof that thoughtful planning can stand the test of time. Keeping Volunteer Park looking its best requires a year-round dedication. Historic buildings, mature trees, gardens, sculptures, and walking paths all demand careful attention. Park staff, volunteers, and preservation groups work together to protect both the landscape and its historic features, ensuring that future generations can enjoy this remarkable place just as visitors have for decades. Today, Volunteer Park remains one of Seattle's hidden gems, a place where history, art, and nature come together in perfect harmony. Whether you're wandering through the conservatory, climbing the water tower, or simply watching the sun set over the Emerald City, it's easy to understand why this beautiful park has quietly earned a place among America's finest urban green spaces. What if one of the most polluted industrial sites in America became one of its most unforgettable parks? Well, it sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? Yet, that's exactly what happened in Seattle. Today, Gasworks Park is famous for its sweeping views of Lake Union and the city skyline. But for decades, this hilltop was filled with smokestacks, machinery, and the unmistakable smell of coal gas production. The story began in 1906 when the Seattle Gas Light Company built a massive plant here to produce gas for homes and businesses. For more than half a century, the facility powered a growing city while leaving behind contaminated soil and aging industrial equipment. When the plant finally closed in 1956, many believed the only solution was demolition. But one visionary landscape architect had a different idea. Landscape architect Richard Haag proposed something almost unheard of at the time. Instead of tearing everything down, why not preserve parts of the old gas plant and transform them into a centerpiece of a public park? It was a bold idea that required years of environmental cleanup and careful planning. And when the park officially opened in 1975, it became one of the first major industrial reclamation projects in the United States. The towering pipes, boilers, and steel structures remain the park's most recognizable features. Walk among them today and you'll quickly realize this isn't an ordinary park. Instead of hiding its past, Gasworks proudly celebrates it. Can you imagine children climbing and playing where factory workers once labored around the clock? It's a remarkable example of giving history a second life. One of the park's favorite gathering spots is the large grassy hill overlooking Lake Union. Known simply as Kite Hill, it's the perfect place to watch colorful kites dancing in the breeze or enjoy a picnic with spectacular views of downtown Seattle. On a sunny afternoon, you'll find photographers, families, and visitors all sharing the breathtaking panorama. Gasworks Park has also become one of Seattle's premier event destinations. Thousands gather here for 4th of July fireworks, concerts, and community celebrations, with the city skyline providing a dramatic backdrop. Have you noticed something about America's greatest urban parks? They have a way of bringing people together while giving every gathering a sense of place. Even on an ordinary day, there's always something happening. Sailboats glide, Lake Union, kayakers paddle past the shoreline, and cyclists stop to admire the view. Whether you're reading beneath a tree or watching seaplanes take off from the water, the park offers a fascinating blend of nature, recreation, and city life that feels uniquely Seattle. The transformation of this property changed more than one neighborhood. Gasworks Park demonstrated that abandoned industrial sites didn't have to remain scars on the landscape. Instead, they could become vibrant public places that honored history while serving new generations. Cities around the world have since looked to Seattle for inspiration when reclaiming former industrial land. Maintaining Gasworks Park presents unique challenges. The historic machinery requires ongoing preservation, while the landscape must be carefully monitored after decades of environmental restoration. City crews continue to balance public safety, historical preservation, and ecological stewardship, ensuring that this one-of-a-kind park remains both beautiful and secure for future visitors. Today, Gasworks Park stands as one of America's most creative examples of urban renewal. What was once a polluted industrial complex has become a place where families gather, history is preserved, and sunsets paint the Seattle skyline in brilliant shades of gold and orange. It reminds us that sometimes the greatest transformation begins by looking at yesterday's problems and imagining tomorrow's possibilities. Well, how about that? That was Jovi, our producer here, did an amazing job with the photos I gave her and the narration and the music. Fantastic, fantastic. It's interesting when you look at the Gasworks Park and you look at an aerial view of it, it doesn't look very big. But when you see the pictures of it down on the grass, you can see that it is quite big. And I've been there before. And it is big. It's a nice area to be in, and it's really cool. It's a great place for the neighborhood people to hang out and for visitors like me to check it out. So that was really neat. And what's good about a lot of these parks that we showed, well, every park that we showed, they all have their challenges. They all have their their beginnings and where they came from. And as I said before, I have been in Zilker Park, and I've actually been in that water, and it's actually very refreshing and very cool. It's a really neat place, a neat place in the city to be. And well, y'all, every park tells a story. Some began as swamps or empty prairie. Others were built on abandoned railroads, industrial sites, or land donated by generous citizens who believed future generations deserved beautiful places to gather. And so today we visited 7 remarkable parks, each different in its history and design, yet all sharing one thing in common. They remind us that parks are far more than green open spaces. They are living chapters in the history of our cities, reflecting the people, the dreams, and sometimes even the struggles that shape them. And we have only scratched the surface. Across America, there are hundreds of parks with fascinating stories waiting to be told, from the grandeur of Central Park in New York and Golden Gate Park in San Francisco, to historic treasures like Boston Common, Forest Park in St. Louis, Balboa, San Diego, City Park in New Orleans, and many lesser-known parks that deserve to be discovered. Everyone has its own unique legacy. So in future episodes of Legacy Parks of America, we're going to slow down. We're going to spend an entire program exploring a single park, its history, its people, its triumphs, its challenges, and the role it continues to play in the life of its community. We'll also meet many of the people who care for these parks today, hearing firsthand, we hope, how they preserve these remarkable places for future generations. If you have a favorite park with an interesting story, I'd love to hear about it. We just might become subject of a future episode. So next week, we're going to do 7 more parks. And, this has been it's just been a really fascinating journey for me of research and finding out about all these parks. I mean, I've heard of some of these parks, but I didn't know how they got started, where they came from, the challenges that they had. I mean, just imagine the remarkable park in New York City. How many people have heard of that park that was actually built on top of a railroad trestle? That to me is amazing. All right, y'all. So today at 5 p.m., right after the show, you can tune in as Justin Cutler explores leading through transition, how to land and lead well in your new role, sharing practical strategies for stepping confidently into a new role and leading with impact. And I'll stick around if you'd like to check that out. I think it's going to be really cool. And we will see you next week for the next iteration, the next chapter of our show. Thank you all for being with us today. And have a great week. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
They say it's Just Rec. Just Rec, where kids learn to try again. Just Rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom-branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.